If you think Lindsey Graham was depressed last week, he's got to be really depressed today because over the weekend, Lindsey Graham, the senator from South Carolina, had a suggestion for the president. Take a listen.
I would urge him to open up the government for a short period of time, like 3 weeks, see if we can get a deal. If we can, at the end of 3 weeks, all bets are off. See if he can do it by himself through the emergency powers. That's my recommendation. But I think the legislative path is just about shut off because Nancy Pelosi, the leader of the House, said, even if you open up the government, I'll give you $1 for the wall. As long as that's the case, we're never going to get a legislative package, no matter what the Senate does.
Okay. So Lindsey Graham had a recommendation, that's what he called it, that the president reopen the government for 3 weeks, just temporarily, which means, by the way, in order for that to happen, somebody would have to write legislation that says that we're going to temporarily reopen, get it through the House and the Senate, and then keep talking. The president today, in his helicopter address as he was on his way out of the White House, said in response to Lindsey Graham's suggestion, he said this: "That's a no." He said no. 2 thumbs down and a raspberry on that one. So that wasn't even I don't even think Lindsey Graham got a full 24 hours out of that. Maybe just about, almost exactly, I think, because he said it, I believe he said it yesterday on the Sunday shows. So that's, about 24 hours he got before that was shot down. So he's got to be, if he, like I said, if he was depressed last week, I mean, this week he's just, he's crying, he's horizontal. You know what I mean?
Put that man on watch.
Yeah. He's not feeling good. But let's talk about what he said, because he's suggesting that, again, trying to blame it on the Democrats, which most Americans on both sides are not really buying, and saying that, unless the president would take that recommendation or go down the path of declaring a national emergency, that there would be no legislative option. And he said, no matter what the Senate does. I'm air quoting that. No matter what the Senate does. Let's discuss. Feel free to call us, by the way, if you have maybe you have an out-of-the-box suggestion that you want to share. 404-367-9478, 404-367-WGST. That's our number. You can also go on our social media and comment if you like, and we'll try our best to keep up with that. But here's the reason I'm asking, because maybe there is some other way. Maybe there is some other idea. I want to talk about what they could actually do kind of within the bounds of existing laws and control, right? So here's the deal. Lindsey Graham is acting like the Senate doesn't have an option, but they do. And that would be to go ahead and vote on and approve, and they're in control, the legislation that the House has already approved, which is previously approved Senate legislation to reopen all of the government and just to push the ball down the field a little bit on only Homeland Security so that they can continue to discuss the wall. Now, the Senate could go ahead and sign that, and then the Congress, the House and Senate together, could put that on the president's desk for signature. Then, if the president signs it, great, we're good to go. If the president vetoes that rule, then the 2/3 majority of the House and the Senate could override. So what would that do? Well, that would make a statement to the president that the Republican Party is not behind him on this. And by the way, if they wanted to reclaim their power as the Senate GOP or just the GOP in general, if they were to do that and override the veto and reopen the government, they would have the majority of the American people on their side, and they could put somebody else up in 2020. They could. So this is a potential that the GOP has right now, and I think actually could be a winning decision for the GOP. They're worried about losing the Trump base, but the percentages right now are stating, if you read the polls, if you believe in any of that, that even the base is starting to falter a little bit on this government shutdown news. And so perhaps this would be the time for the GOP to say, hold on a second, we're not reneging on our duties. We want the government back open. here, President Trump, sign this legislation, and if not, we're going to override it. That's your choice. If you allow us to override this veto, we're going to continue to do this for the next 2 years. You are essentially going to be ineffective because we will make deals across the aisle with the Democrats, and we will put up one of our best in 2020 against you. So it would be fascinating. It's not going to happen because they're just not showing that they have any I wanted to say this without being rude. They just don't have the cojones to do it. They're too afraid. The GOP right now is too afraid to stand up to Trump. They're afraid they're going to lose the base. And, this would be a really good time to do it, I think, because I do think that Trump has his loyalists who are never going to leave him, but there are, statistically speaking, a lot of people who have supported Trump for a lot of this time, over this 2 years now, who are starting to say, you know what, I like a lot of what the guy's doing, but I'm not with him on this. This would be the time. And if they showed some strength as a party, I think that their supporters would really get behind that. So, look, like I said, I don't think it's going to happen, but that's my out of the box thinking. Go ahead and do it. I would be tempted to vote Republican if that happened, to be honest, depending on who they put up in 2020. If they put up somebody really great who was moderate and who was relatively socially liberal, but could also get things done from a fiscal perspective, I might be tempted.
And like we said before the show, then they get to be the party that says, you know what? We decided we're done with gridlock in Washington and we're going to do things.
Right.
They get to be that party that says that.
Yeah, right. I think that would be, you want to take some power back from Pelosi? That's how you do it. That's how you do it. You don't let it be a fight between Trump and Pelosi. You make it, you make it a McConnell and Pelosi getting things done, and then the Republicans who are true blue Republicans are going to go Republican all the way. You're not going to necessarily get the Democrats, but there's a lot of independents in the middle who will then have, again, a really, interesting choice to make. Then we'd have at least a fun race in 2020. You know what I mean?